Hello, you're welcome. You're welcome onto my channel today, and it gives me great joy to observe you are viewing this video. I'm Professor Olayinka Akanle. I'm a lecturer in the university. On this channel, I do a number of stuff, but all the stuff I do, sociology and research, are very central to them. I also do content on a relationship and migration. The video you are viewing today is within my content and playlist of sociology, and I'll be dropping videos on finding fathers or contributors to sociology, finding fathers of or contributors to sociology for about 12 previous time. Now, this is about the 12th. Now, I've dropped videos on Ibn Khaldun, I've dropped videos on August Comte, videos on Emile Durkheim, videos on Taco Passings, video on Karl Marx, Max Weber, Charles Otten Cooley, George Herbert Mead, Bronislaw Malinowski, and so on. So this video is on Akinsola Akiwowo. Akinsola Akiwowo was a professor of sociology. Born 1922, died 2014, was a 20th century, sociologist compared to Karl Marx and the rest of them. Born 1922 and died 2014. And meanwhile, if you have not subscribed to this channel previously, kindly go ahead and click subscribe on your screen right now. Tap subscribe on your screen right now so you might be alerted every time I drop new content. And you can join my family of subscribers. We're building a community of sociologists, of researchers, of other experts. So join our community by clicking subscribe on your channel right now. So on this channel right now. So, Professor Akinsola Akiwowo dedicated his whole life to the intellectual advocacy, academic intervention of indigenizing sociology in Africa. Though Akinsola Akiwowo was a Nigerian, a Nigerian sociologist. In fact, he was a professor of law at the then University of Ife, Osun State in Nigeria. So he was a professor of sociology at that point in time. Meanwhile, there's another video on this channel on Professor Akinsola Akiwowo. In that place, I engaged his intellectual work in a broad way. But today, so you have to view that video. It's on Akinsola Akiwowo, indigenizing sociology, like that. So, but this one is particularly about his main contribution to sociology. Zeroing in on his interventionist trajectory. So he dedicated his career, his life to publishing, researching into the need to indigenize sociology in Africa. If you look at the origin of sociology, I'll drop a video on origin of sociology soon. But if you look at the founding fathers or contributors that have been dropped in 11 of them previously, before now, looking at all of them, Charles Otten Cooley, George Herbert Mead, you look at Taco Passings, you look at a number of them, you will discover that they were all from Europe or America, Germans and the rest of them. Or if you look at Cyril Mills, for example. So the belief of Akiwowo was the fact that these were founding fathers or contributors who were very Eurocentric or foreign in their sociology. And this is quite understandable because sociology itself originated from industrial and French Revolution. So the origin of sociology itself made it intrinsically, historically, foreign, Eurocentric, if you like. That there's so this actually, if you look at the concept, the theories, the origin, founding fathers, and the rest of them, you will discover that the essence, the methodology, the theories, the concepts of sociology were essentially externalized as outside of Africa. So like Said Alatas, Professor Jimmy Adesina, the extraordinary professor of sociology, who is now in South Africa, and a number of them, all these people engaged in the need to indigenize sociology, to make it more contextual and relevant. So Akiwowo plays a significant role in this, engaging through his intellectual work, intervention, seminars, publication on the need to indigenize sociology. For him, the only way to make sociology very relevant is to make it indigenous, bringing indigenous content into it. So far, we are not. He was not saying sociology should become African, but he was saying sociology should become more in tune to African reality. Just like Farid and Said Alatas were also talking about the need for sociology to be more indigenized and contextualized in Latin America, in Asia, and some other places. So Akiwowo was also concerned about the need to make sociology more relevant in Africa. And the only way to do this was to introduce African concepts, African values, African norms, African languages, African culture, African traditional, orientations, belief systems, and way of life. That is the only way sociology will become more relevant, more acceptable, more easily understood on the African continent. So basically, like I also said in the previous video, indigenous sociology was central to Akiwowo's intervention. African-centered sociology was central to Akiwowo's sociology. Contextualized sociology was central to Akiwowo's intervention, epistemic intervention. And the intellectual advocacy against Eurocentric sociology was actually the ultimate focus and interest, objectives of Akiwowo. And aside many of his interventions, in publications, he made these pronounced statements, pronounced intellectual agitations, and immortalized his ideas of indigenous sociology in his inaugural lecture. He gave his inaugural lecture in 1980, in University of Ife. This was published by University of Ife Press in their issue 46. It was a 36 pages inaugural lecture. And in this inaugural lecture, he gave the title of the inaugural lecture as Ajobi and Ajogbe, variations of the themes of association. Ajobi and Ajogbe, variations, of the theme of association. In this case, he was trying to look at the thematic element, the nodes, the relational nodes, that defines or punctuate African social relation. And if so far sociology talks about social relations, they need to understand social relations so as to be able to achieve social order or better explain social orders. So this for Akiwowo, for us to be able to understand human relationships, to be able to explain and examine social relationship for the essence of orders and social change, he believes two themes are very central. He called one Ajobi. Yoruba, Akiwowo was a Yoruba man, So he brought the Yoruba language, the Yoruba belief systems, the Yoruba culture, the Yoruba tradition, the Yoruba oratory, the Yoruba orature. He brought it into explaining what he believes in sociology. Look at Ajobi for him, which means kinship and consanguinity. That this is a major theme in understanding the ways of life from the Yoruba perspective, which can be used to also explain some other societies, And he also gave the second theme as Ajogbe co-residency. These are people who did not share any kinship element, who did not share consanguine, they were just like social relations, social network. I usually describe this as kinship networks to be Ajogbe and consanguinity, and to be Ajobi, kinship network. For me, consanguinity, that's Ajobi. People literally means people that were born together biologically. And this Ajobi can be translated as kinship and consanguinity. Then Ajogbe, people did not share blood or marriage. People were not born together. They did not share blood relation. They did not share marriage relation, unlike Ajobi. So Ajogbe means co-residences, neighbors, colleagues, people of same congregations, like that. So people operating within Ajogbe are just like neighbors who live together, co-residency or colleagues. So these two themes were central in the inaugural lecture of Professor Akiwowo when he was saying these two themes are Ajobi and Ajogbe. So you can understand human relations, social relations in Africa, for example, through the social lens of the Yoruba or people of southwestern Nigeria. So these are two major themes. And the character, Akiwowo tried to characterize the direction of African sociology, the characteristics that African sociology should have, and the direction it should travel for us to be more relevant in Africa and to be able to contribute meaningfully and understand social relations on the continent. So Akiwowo basically was looking at the need for sociology to be understood, studied, and researches to be done Empirically, he was an empiricist, don't forget. He believes in guarding data. So he was looking at it from conceptual perspective, theoretical perspective, empirical perspective. And you know that this, when we look at it from this, so this should be the characteristics of African sociology. Looking at African sociology through African culture, African tradition, African concepts, African religion, African belief systems. Rather than teaching and regurgitating, Eurocentric historical sociology. Those are my German shepherd, my dogs. So until somebody is trying to pass in, so they want to be sure that it's not coming to constitute nuisance. So these are just major contributions of Akiwowo. So, and he also demonstrated this through the belief system, through the Ifa oratory. Ifa can be described as it's a belief system among the Yoruba. Some people can call it religion, but it's generally a belief system. So, he demonstrated the Ifa belief system, the oratory of Ifa, the orature of Ifa, through the belief system of Ifa. And he used, aside this Ajogbe and Ajobi, as major themes that he gave in the inaugural lecture. If you look at some other of his works, you will see this element of, he gave also the concept of Asuwada Eniyan. This Asuwada Eniyan, talks about people coming together to relate for a common purpose. Asuwada Eniyan. I've published on the area of Asuwada, theory of association. Akiwowo was trying to be theoretical. This Asuwada, Ajobi is Ajobi. Ajogbe is Ajogbe. Asuwada means Asuwada. Eniyan, which means people. Eniyan. So you will find this, one of his works on Asuwada, theory of association, is published online. But his major intervention aside the inaugural lecture, the Asuwada Eniyan, that's a theory he gave in terms of understanding people coming together to relate for a common purpose. That people form relationship, people interact for common purpose, and this common purpose brings them together. So understand the purpose, motives. If you look at the Weberian analysis, social action theory of Max Weber, there's a video on Max Weber, there's a video on social action theory. This looks like more like the Weberian, social action theory. That people have motive, people come together to relate, for common purpose. This is what Akiwowo calls Asuwada Eniyan. Relationship based on common purpose. People coming together to form association, relationship. I dropped a video also on Josime. I brought this also out in the place. So Akiwowo is trying to say, okay, even though we want to do things like the Western or Eurocentric, European sociology, American sociology, we should look at our own indigenous resonance to be able to do it better. So his concept of Asuwada Eniyan was a major contribution. He also gave the concept of Omoluabi, Omoluabi. Omoluabi, like the concept of a good person, a good child, a child that is well socialized, a child that's internalized, the norms and values of society effectively and is behaving in a way that maintains social order without constituting nuisance. It's not a deviant. So the concept of Omoluabi is central to the contribution of Akiwowo and was central to his epistemic intervention historically. So the concept of Omoluabi was central. Omoluabi means good person, good child, behaving in a way that sustains the social system. It's not a deviance, it's not a nuisance. So for people to be understood, we can look at it from the prism of Omoluabi. Is this person an Omoluabi or not? So, and when people should try to be more Omoluabi for society to be together. So the concept and theme and belief of Omoluabi is central. So then there is also the opposite, Omobuburu, Omoburuku, Omobuburu. This is a very bad person. Omobuburu is Omoburu, or Omoburuku, Omoburuku. This Omobuburu, or Omobuburu can be regarded as a bad person, deviant, nuisance, people of bad and dangerous character. And these people are dangerous to society and should be related with carefully because they are deviants, they are nuisance, they are wicked, they are bad people. So looking at the concept of omobuburu and omoluabi, you will understand that Akiwowo was trying to say you can characterize people within these um, sectors, within these two different opposing, groups. And the way people behave within these two groups will determine how people relate with them. And Omoluabi should be more preferred. People should try to be Omoluabi rather than Omoburu. And for Akiwowo, Omoluabi will reap a lot of blessing, like Ireowo, prosperity, Ireomo, fertility, blessing of fertility, and blessing also of longevity. Ile-Ife, all these the blessings that can be considered accruable to being an Omoluabi. So people should be Omoluabi, whereas Omoburuku will also reap their own reward, like sudden death, loss, ofo, and all evil things will happen to Omobuburu or Omoburuku, whereas blessings will happen to Omoluabi. So people should rather be Omoluabi for them to reap blessings than Omoburuku, where they reap evil. So the way people relate society will determine the kind of blessing and life they live. And the concept of Omoluabi and Omoburu also were major contributions for Akiwowo. So for Akiwowo, sociologists in Africa and across the world should be more indigenous. South Africans are doing a lot of this. Latin Americans are doing a lot of this. Asians are doing a lot of this. So for Akiwowo, sociologists also have to go through this and try to bring indigenous content, local content into their sociology. While we are not talking about sociology becoming compartmentalized by geography, but we are saying we should encourage local sociology. Local sociology, GLOCAL, is what I consider as sociology that is globally relevant, at the same time locally useful. So we have to blend the global sociology with local sociology to have a unique form that serves, the global purpose at the same time local purpose, adapting sociology to local environment. Welcome to Akinsola Akiwowo, Contextual Sociology. Thank you very much for viewing this video. Click subscribe. Till I see you in my next video. Bye for now.